3 things that we've learned as new RVers. So, what were you wrong about, babe? Yesterday we had a whole day-long discussion about where a certain beep is coming from and what it means. As we were driving, we keep hearing beep, beep.
Only when we made right-hand turns.
Only when we kind of turned right. And go ahead and tell what you thought it was.
So I swore it was the refrigerator. Because you make a right-hand turn, the refrigerator come open a little bit, and you hear beep, beep, and go to the refrigerator. And then you said,
it's not the refrigerator, because if it was, then anytime you go to open the refrigerator on purpose, you would hear that beep. But I could go get a water bottle out of the refrigerator and there's no beep. So it can't be that. But I will say that it was true that every time we turned right, that beep was happening. And I had heard it in the past, but not nearly as often as we were hearing it yesterday. We figured it out. We figured it out this morning. So we are on our way to the Ozarks from the Dallas area. 2-day drive. What are we doing, like 3.5 hours a day?
yeah, it's about 4 hours a day with the RV.
Yeah. And so yesterday, all day long, there was the beeping. Well, this morning, what happened?
So we bring up the Jackson in the morning, and the thing just went off again. I'm like, what the snot's going on? And it kept going on, so finally I stopped the rig, because we weren't going that fast. So I just stopped it, then I hooked up the GPS, and I get out, and I listen, and I open up for our jack controls, and they're flashing at me. I'm going, that's where it's coming from. I'm like, stinking dog monkey,
Something is
I was
wrong with the jacks. What happened?
So then we just went ahead and Googled it for our little website friends there.
Well, yeah, we put it on Facebook. I put it on Facebook. Y'all, my Facebook community is amazing. So I put on there like a small recording of the video, of the beeping and what it looks like. In fact, I'll show you what it looks like. It's right there. See all that flashing going off? We silenced it now, but it's still going off. And so I put a little recording, and within minutes, my amazing loyal Facebook community was helping us decode and figure out what was wrong. And ultimately they said we need hydraulic fluid, which after some more investigating turns out to be automatic transmission fluid. I don't even know what this stuff is. If it's got Pennzoil on it, I am clueless. I'm not a mechanic, neither is Dan. We are definitely getting an education that we didn't really want, but it's okay. It's part of living the RV life, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so we discovered that it's okay to drive right now, but when we get to where we're going, before we are going to be able to put the jacks down, we're going to have to fill up the hydraulic fluid, which makes sense because yesterday, remember how I said like we were hearing that beeping a lot more, so a lot more than we had in the past. So I think the fluid level was low, and every time we turned, the fluid level like went lower and made the alarm go off. Well, now the fluid is like empty enough that it won't even lower the jacks at all. Everything's done. So, lesson number 1.
Know your fluids.
Know your fluids and know your fluid levels. And check it
Before you go on each trip.
before each trip. We are on, what, trip number 4?
Yep.
And we've never checked that.
Actually, I checked it the first time.
The first time.
But never since then. And I never checked the fluid because I didn't even know what the heck where it was.
We didn't even know.
We still don't know, to be honest.
We're figuring it out. Okay, so know your fluids. That's lesson 1. Number 2.
Know your procedures.
Procedures. Such
First,
as,
you gotta have procedures. Like,
yes.
Like, you know.
Set systems in place.
Yes. So, like when you're going to put out the slides, for example. Like before, you'll get real comfortable with doing it. Like when you first do it, you're scared to death you're gonna break it.
Yeah, so you walk around the RV like 2 times to make sure nothing is in the way. But then, as you take more trips, you get more and more comfortable, which means you make mistakes. And so one day, we had our mule parked kind of close to the
Not
RV.
the animal, the mule. The Kawasaki mule. Let's just clarify.
The vehicle, our Kawasaki, was parked kind of close to the RV, and we're like, okay, let's just put out the slides. Uh-oh. Someone, thank God, was outside and was like, stop, stop, stop. And so we stopped, and we almost hit the mule with the slides. So have systems in place, and don't get too comfortable with your systems. Follow your procedures down to each like dotted I across T, because if you don't, you're gonna make silly, stupid mistakes that are gonna end up costing a lot of money.
Yeah, like when I was out on the trip with my guys, I couldn't figure out why the rig wasn't level. And I'm sitting there just like, man, why is this? It drove me nuts for hours. And then it finally dawned on me, I forgot to let the air out of the bags.
Yeah.
So once I did that, leveled it up, no problem.
Yeah. I feel like you get a pass for that though, because you have your systems and I have my systems, and you were doing both because I wasn't there. So
That's true.
you were a little bit out of your zone there.
True that.
I feel like you get a pass. Do you think he gets a pass? Comment below and let us know if you think he gets a pass for that. Okay, number 3.
Number 3 is know your rig. Know the buttons on your rig.
Yeah.
So there's so many stinking buttons on these things and bells and whistles that go off, and you're like, what is that noise?
And
So-
they do teach you in the beginning. Like, we had a 3 or 4 hour tutorial before we took this thing home. But it's so much information, and we even videotaped a lot of it, but we've never gone back and watched that. I mean, it was so much information. You know, you really can't absorb all of it. So that being said, as you're traveling, you're gonna learn, oh, this button does that, and oh, that button does this, and simple things like you were holding down a button for a few minutes.
Well, for the jacks, because like we were out looking at rigs, they would always hold a button down to put the jacks down when they showed us. Well, I learned you just hit the button once, it'll do it itself.
You don't have to even hold it down. So you'll figure out things about all the buttons, and it just takes time. I don't think you can really learn that in the very beginning. You have to just learn as you go.
Yeah, and I think also, for the most part, that unless you leave something critical like your oil, you're not really going to damage your rig. It may inconvenience you, but if you just go with the expectation of, hey, things aren't going to go right, and we're going to have issues,
Yeah.
and you're just going to roll with it, you know?
Yeah.
And that's probably
What's our
harder.
motto? God never intended you to drive your house down the road. So if you choose to do it, you're going to have issues. You're going to have hurdles. You just kind of have to make space in your schedule for that and know that it's going to happen, and that's okay.
Yeah, and I think Crystal's more flexible than I am on that. Because I'm like, man, I want to get there. I'm driven. Like, I always say, I don't do this in my RV, but when I'm driving, I drive with a purpose. That's what I always say.
He does. Yeah.
So, I just got to learn to kind of roll with it, but now I just kind of build in, like, we're going to have issues, and if we don't, it was a bonus.
For real. Yeah, I don't think we've had one trip though without some kind of issue.
Yeah, but again, nothing major.
Yeah. Okay. Is that it?
That's it.
Well, please comment below if you have any ideas of content that you'd like us to cover. And please remember, it really helps us if you hit the little thumbs up button. Please just take a second and do that.
Hit the thingy button.
If you haven't subscribed, please do that and hit the notification bell.
The thingy button.
Thanks. God bless everybody. Bye.